But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let us take a step back and take a look at some interesting facts about the monarchy. The drama that surrounds the British royal family is always fascinating. It may come as a surprise to you to learn that the idea of a royal family is essentially a cunning marketing tactic. In the 19th century, Prince Albert, who was born in Germany and married Queen Victoria, was the one who first conceived of the concept of a royal family as we know it today. As a result of his realization that the British monarchy was having difficulty retaining its relevance and appeal, he organized extravagant public spectacles, such as the Great Exhibition of 1851, in order to promote the monarchy as a symbol of national identity and unity. Additionally, the actual power of the British monarchy is at an unexpectedly low level. The position of the king, despite the fact that they are the head of state, is primarily ceremonial, and the Prime Minister is the one who has the majority of executive authority. In point of fact, the monarch's power to make choices is so restricted that they do not even have the authority to choose their own staff. Rather, the Prime Minister's office is the one responsible for making those appointments. This is the reason why, in actuality, King Charles' response to Meghan Markle's claimed financial demands for her children is largely meaningless, as he would not have the ability to make any judgments that are legally binding on the subject anyhow. Taking into consideration the subject of finance, the British monarchy is in fact extremely affluent, and this is not solely due to the fact that they have inheritances. In addition, they have a sophisticated method of taxing in place, in which the Crown Estate, which is comprised of a collection of assets and investments, is responsible for generating revenue that is then transferred to the Treasury. In exchange, the monarchy is given an annual payment that is referred to as the sovereign payment. This grant is used to finance the monarchy's official responsibilities as well as the maintenance of the royal estates. Through the use of this ingenious mechanism, the monarchy is able to maintain its financial stability without having to put money out of its own pockets. In addition, the structure of the line of succession to the monarchy is more difficult than you might initially believe. It is a commonly held belief that the throne is passed down from generation to generation to the eldest son or daughter. However, due to a number of arcane procedures and loopholes, there are really over 4,000 persons in line to inherit the throne. By way of illustration, were you aware that a person who marries a Catholic is automatically excluded from inheriting the throne? This is because of the Act of Settlement of 1701. Which was enacted with the intention of preventing Catholics from ascending to the monarchy and, as a result, posing a challenge to the dominance of Protestants. To put it mildly, it is a rule that has been around for a very long time, but it is still in effect. Last but not least, in spite of all the pomp and ceremony that surrounds the monarchy, their state visits are actually quite low-key. The public is aware of the spectacular processions and ceremonies that accompany any state visit, but they are not aware of the never-ending series of meetings, briefings, and paperwork that accompany such visits. As a matter of fact, the calendar of the king is frequently so packed that they are forced to rely on a system known as palace hieroglyphics, which is a secret code consisting of symbols and abbreviations, in order to successfully keep track of their commitments and communications. A far cry from the glamorous image that we see in the media. This is the reality. Also, do you see Harry never growing up? Being a parent means you try to prepare the child for adulthood. Unfortunately, Harry refuses to grow up, and nearing 40 he needs to become responsible for his own actions. Everything possible was done to help prepare Harry, including a hefty sum whilst he and his wife settled upon their insistence in a new country to live a life away from royal duties. It is not a parent's job to keep them in idleness, and I think Charles went above and beyond all that could be expected of him. Harry is whining because he wants money for doing absolutely nothing, and that is not how the world works. The Queen was totally in agreement with Charles. You work for the firm, you get paid. You leave and you do not get paid, just like any other company. I think there was also a time when Harry wanted to return to the UK, and he must have also offered to King Charles, but his father refused. After slagging off himself, his parents, his wife, and eldest son, and his family, lying about many things, and broadcasting his brother's private life. Why would Charles want him back? I think there was also a time when Harry wanted to return to the UK, and he must have also offered to King Charles, but his father refused. After slagging off himself, his parents, his wife, and eldest son, and his family, lying about many things, and broadcasting his brother's private life. Why would Charles want him back? And I would imagine the poisonous woman hanging on his shirt tail would be unacceptable, as William might have some quite strong words on the subject. However, the family does not have to accept him as a working royal. What Harry wants is the restoration of all his perks, some charities and military appointments, as well as vast amounts of cash. I believe he offered to become joint Prince of Wales and share the prophet's bloody cheek. That is ridiculous, and another thing entirely. King Charles is asking for trouble if he takes Harry back. How can anyone ever trust Harry again? I wonder what Prince William would say to this. Also, Princess Anne won't be too happy. King Charles is weak. He hasn't got a clue. I hope he reads this. He has a short memory. He can take Harry back to live privately up at Sandringham or Balmoral, which are not crown estates, but the property of the king. I think this is what will happen. Charles won't want him returning to royal duties or patronages. He had his chance and messed up big time. If that happens, it will be when his harridan of a wife kicks him out and he crawls back with his tail between his legs. And unless he eats a very big dose of humble pie, it is difficult to see how he could create any kind of life, never mind a public role for himself in this country. His best bet might be to try to get involved in some charity projects in Africa. But know how to be. She deeply offended various African nations, so I doubt he would be welcome. Wasters aren't really wanted anywhere. Epstein's Island has been abandoned, apparently, so that's a possibility. Going back to the financial demands that Meghan Markle made for her children with King Charles, once again took advantage of children and turned them into pawns to make money. Meghan has proven herself to be the most shameless and evil woman I have ever known. There is no doubt that Meghan's use of her children as a commercial tool is a clear demonstration of her unscrupulousness and greed. She does not hesitate to turn innocent children into weapons in the battle for money and fame. We have seen many examples of Meghan's brazenness, but her use of her children to create a commercial narrative is even worse. This action is not only irresponsible, but also the ultimate expression of selfishness and greed. She used every opportunity to turn the children into money-making tools, overshadowing all moral values that a mother should have. Meghan Markle, with her brazenness and evil, has overshadowed any image of a mother who loves and protects her children. Instead, she chose a ruthless path, turning her children into pawns in her game of power and finances. This is not just an affront to G values, but she looks down on UK people too much. Even those children are not yet authentic. No one knows if they really exist or not. Does anyone dare to come forward and say that they have seen baby Archie or Lilibet? So whose rights is she claiming? The children or herself? Meghan Markle, with her brazenness, has pushed skepticism to new levels. The fact that she uses faceless children to make financial demands makes people wonder, is this a benefit for her children or just a trick for her to make more money? No one really knows whether Archie and Lilibet are real or just ghosts in Meghan's media strategy. Claiming the rights of invisible children, she is probably hoping people will ignore the shadiness and focus on the tragic drama she is creating. But UK people are not so easily fooled. They are smart enough to see that, under the guise of motherly love, lies a bottomless ambition and a despicable disregard. Meghan greatly underestimated the understanding and sanity of the British people. She thought that they would sympathize and relent with her demands. But the truth was that her lies and brazenness only made them more angry. Whose rights is she claiming? Obviously for herself, not for the children that no one was even sure existed. She has succeeded in turning a family story into a ridiculous drama. And the people of the UK are clearly seeing Meghan's true face, a greedy, deceitful person, willing to do anything for money, silver, and fame. Additionally, let us assume those children really exist. Charles is now king, and Meghan has no right to make any demands regarding her child's economic support or succession rights. They have been in the line of succession since birth. They were not given priority in the succession, as requested by their parents or even by King Charles. Honestly, even now when I hear or read questions like, why does it seem like everyone hates Harry and his wife Meghan? That makes me very funny. I think the person asking this question knows enough senses. Just listening is enough to know the evil things Harry and Meghan have done. Living in the UK, my view is that many people in the UK dislike what the couple have portrayed as their public image. Many do not wish to expend the energy required to hate them. They do not care for them that much. There are some who do hate them and a few who like them. It is a complicated issue, not made simpler by the media peddling their own version of what their readership wants to hear and believe. There are people who climb on a bandwagon either pro or anti the couple. Are they just after their 15 minutes of fame? Or are they devout believers in what they say? It comes down to a judgment call by the individual based on their experiences and the reports they have had access to, which have commented on the couple. There are the actions that have been recorded, which one could assume are indications of their intent, but often they are excerpts that are chosen to illustrate what the author of a comment wishes to show. How many times have you seen a still photograph that captures someone apparently looking in disgust at something? People can make mistakes when in a live situation, or they could be engaging in lighthearted fun. A snapshot of the event could give the impression of hatred, disdain, or a myriad of other emotions, which depend on the context of the situation. Manipulation of people's emotions and views has been practiced for centuries and has become more sophisticated every year. For a person to change a view, they have to first be shown they were wrong. Then a new viewpoint has to be instilled in them. It is far easier to start with no view and then create the viewpoint for them to take. To state the obvious, Meghan is an American and has been raised in America, being instilled with American values. She chose the entertainment industry for her adult career. One could comment that she is used to the sway public opinion has on a person as fame and influence. Harry was born in the UK as the younger son of the heir to the monarch. His entire family has been brought up knowing what the head of the family will be expected to do and how the transfer will occur. It is a family in the traditional sense of the word. Giving meaning to the phrase, blood is thicker than water, the monarch is trained from a very young age, usually by their parent on what their duty is to be. They are not the monarch when that training starts, but they and their family know what lies in store. The monarch is the focus by family members gather around to aid the monarch. There is little in American society that can be used as an example that the average American can relate to. However, when Harry was 12, he experienced a treaty few other young boys do. The death of his mother. It was a very tragic accident, but is still in the news nearly 30 years later. His mother died in 1997. While that is traumatic for anyone, the details of his mother's death were global news for months, with speculation still being discussed. Harry's father knew his fate. His older brother also knew from an early age what his destiny was to be. Harry had a greater range of choices available to him. It was expected that he could support his brother, or develop his interests in a different field. The second child to the monarch or heir to the monarch has a wider choice available to them in later life. After his mother's death, Harry found himself being the focus of the global media. His family supported him as best they could, and the British public in the main also supported him as a young boy facing up to his mother's death, but having to do so on the global stage. His king-term girlfriends were of general interest, with much of the public rooting for Harry to find happiness and settle down with the love of his life. Many sympathized for Harry every time a long-term girlfriend stalled in the relationship, if it did not progress. Inevitably, there were comparisons between Harry and his older brother William. The media attention that was given to William's chosen was intense, far harder than that Meghan experienced, and over a far longer period. When after several attempts, Harry finally announced his engagement to Meghan, there was a general feeling of hope and happiness towards Harry and his intended. At that point, Harry and Meghan enjoyed a great deal of support from the public. The hope was that William and Catherine, together with Harry and Meghan, would form the new younger generation of the royal family, making the monarchy more relevant to the modern age. It was not to be. The disappointment gradually soured the public's view of Harry and Meghan. Depending on the news report one viewed, it seemed that Meghan had not understood what the function of the royal family was. In the British system, worse, she did not want to work within the system for change, but amended to impose her views on everyone. If one takes her previous profession as an actress, Then an actress follows the script they have and works with others to produce a product that reflects the best on all concerned. A chorus line dancer can be an understudy and get a break becoming one of the leading stars of a performance. But the start in the lineup remains the same. It seems that Meghan wanted to go from the chorus line to the main headline star without going through any training or acknowledging the contributions of others. I should mention as an aside, there have been several American women who have married into the British nobility and with an effort on their part have been successful in integrating into their new life. It seems that it was not just the fact that Meghan was an American that was a deciding factor. At the same time, Harry's behavior came under closer scrutiny. What had been forgiven as a youthful, rebellious nature was being seen as rather more serious behavior in a middle-aged man. There were more comments about how Harry seemed to expect to be treated as an equal of his brother. It is difficult to express in terms that can be understood by a member of a different country that does not have a shared culture. Perhaps for an American, it might be similar to the vice president trying to upstage and sideline the president at an official event. In the UK, there was Queen Elizabeth II and her husband who worked together and supported each other for 70-plus years. Prince Charles had a troubled first marriage, which was arranged, but his second marriage did show the same partnership as seen with his mother. Prince William and his wife Catherine also showed the same cooperation and partnership, with both William and Catherine working in unison together, and in support of the monarch and his father. 3 generations of the family work in unison. The hope was that Harry and his wife would join with his brother and strengthen the family as it moved forward. There was a disappointment when Harry decided to strike out on his own, but then he and his wife started to make attacks on his family. The church and the people of the UK carefully couched in terms of their truth and their views of events. The innuendos that they used in the Oprah show could be directly compared with laws in the UK and reports produced at the time. The views that Meghan and Harry expressed were in several cases able to be directly checked, and it was their views that were found to be inaccurate. Harry and Meghan held positions of trust, influence, and prestige, and they were found out lying in public. Many in the UK expect politicians to lie. That is a given. A polite phrase is being economic with the truth. But the royal family is above politics. There does not appear to be an equivalent in America, which again makes it difficult to provide a hook that links actions across cultures. The best I can come up with, and it could be inaccurate as I am trying to use American culture as a hook, is comparing Paul Revere and Benedict Arnold as 2 American heroes equally deserving of respect. Both served in the American military. Both rose to prominent positions in that military and were respected at that point in their careers. Post-1780, the American view of Benedict Arnold changed, with him being regarded as a traitor to America. Although he did hold a senior military rank in the British Army, William is constant in his support of his grandmother, father, and wife. Harry pre-2018 was constant in his support of his grandmother and his father and had acknowledged the special bond with his brother. Post-2018, broke away from the support of his grandmother, turned against his father, and broke ties with his brother. He sold his family out to make money in America. When they left, they wanted to destroy the British royal family, all because they didn't get their own way. Meghan was never going to stay. She always was going to move back to America and claim that she was a victim of abuse and racism from the royals and the public. That is where Oprah came in. Instead of challenging Meghan's narrative like a good journalist should, she just took what was said from Meghan as the truth instead of her truth. Oprah had massive backlash from that interview. It wasn't the only thing either to get their truths across. The mockumentary was a flop, as well as Harry's book Spare, where they are the victims. The problem with the woe me victims is that they take no responsibility at all, and I don't believe that they are innocent in all this because what Meghan wants, Meghan get. Well, Meghan didn't get what she wanted, and it was time that the spoilt Meghan and Harry were told no. It's time for them to grow up and stop relying on titles from such a wicked institution like Meghan and Harry said. They are hypocrites, and any game plan they may have had is long gone as a. Listers don't want anything to do with them, and that, my friends, is their own fault. Well, that's all for today's video. Thank you very much for watching our video, and I want to know what you think about these issues. Please express your opinion in the comments below. Hope you will always be cheerful and happy. Don't forget to support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Goodbye and see you again in the next videos.